Remember that I have no personal objection to continuing. There is objection on our side of the aisle, therefore I would have to object.
Republican Senator Richard Burr of South Carolina bravely objecting on behalf of some other guy he decides not to name. Definitely not himself. He's totally not the one who wants to obstruct the Armed Services hearing on our military stance toward North Korea, for which our military commanders have traveled from places like Korea and Hawaii. The confirmation hearing for Goodwin Liu, the president's nominee to serve on the largest federal appeals court in the nation, was also canceled, as was a Homeland Security subcommittee hearing on contracts for Afghan national police training. Not to mention hearings that were also stopped yesterday by Republicans, including an energy subcommittee hearing on the causes of western forest fires. That was called off. And a Homeland Security subcommittee hearing on government transparency. That one was shut down right in the middle of it. Shut down in progress. Welcome to the shut down the government outrage phase of Republicans' opposition to everything. Joining us now is Senator Sherrod Brown, Democrat of Ohio, who has been busy voting all night. Senator, thanks for breaking away from the Senate floor to be with us. Really appreciate it.
Glad to. They try to do the same thing. We were doing the markup in the Agriculture Full Committee of the Child Nutrition Act, and several people didn't get to offer amendments. Senator Bob Casey, who had some good amendments with Senator Gillibrand and me and some others on summer feeding programs and the school breakfast programs, were not even allowed to be offered because the time clock ran out. It's these children. I mean, children. I'm not talking about the kids with child nutrition. I'm talking about the children that are blocking these. And nobody's, just like kids, nobody's taking personal responsibility. Senator Burr goes like this: "Not me. I really like to stay, but I can't do it because it's those people downstairs in the big room that are saying no." I mean, it really is just outrageous. Anything to obstruct, anything to slow down. That's what they're doing tonight, straight downstairs from where I am. That's the way they're playing this. To them, it's a game. To the American public, they want health care. They want this done. They want us to focus on jobs and do this right.
In terms of those hearings, did you know that this tactic was coming? Do we know if these hearings are going to be rescheduled? Do we know how long this shutdown is going to last?
We heard about an hour into the hearing that's what, into ours was a markup where we were doing amendments. We heard about an hour in that we only had another hour to do this. I had 4 amendments. 2 of them I offered were accepted. The other 2 I did not offer, partly because of the time squeeze. I said it happened with Senator Casey. I think it happened with others. I mean, it's just child's play, and they're childish. It's not child's play, and I don't get it. I mean, they're this whole period for the last year of health care, education, all the kinds of things we're doing. They're just any way to delay and obstruct and slow down and throw sand in the gears and every other mixed metaphor I could use.
In terms of the vote-a-rama on the Senate floor right now, as you say, downstairs from where you're sitting right now, can you explain to our viewers who may not be familiar with vote-a-rama, except as a term that sounds like a joke, what's actually happening and what will be accomplished by the time you guys finally wrap up tonight?
Well, nothing's going to be accomplished because the Republicans want to make one change in the reconciliation bill, so it has to go back to the House so they can try to slow it down there, and then there's a conference committee and all that. We know the House and the Senate, we all worked out the reconciliation package. They sent it to us. We need to pass it, get it out of here quickly so this bill is finalized. So they're offering all kinds of amendments. One amendment that was particularly interesting was they offered an amendment to lower student loan interest rates. The Republicans, I mean, they're always on the side of the banks. They're trying to block us from taking the money from bank subsidies, which they wanted to do, and put it directly into student loans. And now they're acting like they're on the side of the students. I mean, it's all, you know, in the end, you follow the money with this crowd. You knew what they tried to block health care because the insurance companies are one of their biggest benefactors. They're trying to block the student loan direct lending, so because the banks are one of their biggest benefactors. And they're wrong. The public knows they're wrong. They want to confuse people with these amendments. It's their same old game. And I mean, the public is more and more starting to be onto them. That's why when I hear people say this is going to be such a bad year for Democrats, they're wrong, because the public is more and more catching on to what they're doing, to their hypocrisy about all this. They criticize us on budget deficits. They passed tax cuts for the rich, didn't pay for them. A war that cost $1 trillion, didn't pay for it. A giveaway to the drug and insurance companies with Medicare, didn't pay for it. Took a huge surplus, turned it into a huge budget deficit during the Bush years, as you know, Rachel.
Senator Sherrod Brown, Democrat of Ohio, I know that you are getting yanked right now to go back and do more voting on these amendments downstairs. Thank you for taking time to join us tonight.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it,
Thanks
sir.
for what you're doing, Rachel. See you.
Thank you. Check out this tease from the Pentagon spokesman about something that is about to be announced but hasn't been announced yet about Don't Ask, Don't Tell.
Has the Secretary made a decision on the more humane application of Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and if so, when will it be announced?
He is, I think, Jeff, he is prepared to offer a way ahead on that subject this week. So stay tuned. Hopefully you'll be seeing him later this week and can address the changes that he is going to be making to the department's policy to provide for more humane enforcement and application of the law.
A more humane enforcement and application of the Don't Ask, Don't Tell law. According to multiple reports today, what we are due to hear from Secretary Gates tomorrow is that until the Don't Ask, Don't Tell ban is repealed, in the meantime, the Pentagon will stop separating people from the armed services if those people are outed against their will by a third person. Now, if indeed this is what Secretary Gates is going to announce, a few big questions remain. Will the policy only be changed from here on out? Or will it apply to people who were outed by third parties whose discharges are now pending? Spencer Ackerman at the Washington Independent reports that a source has told him that while the change won't apply retroactively, it will apply to ongoing active cases. Now, we here at the Rachel Maddow Show have a particular interest in that because that means that this change could presumably include the case of Lieutenant Colonel Victor Fehrenbach, who has been a guest on this show several times. If the change is as Spencer described, this change would not affect the case of Major Mike Almy. Major Almy was kicked out of the Air Force, you will recall, a couple of years ago after he was also outed by a third party against his will. If this change that's due to be announced tomorrow is as expected, it sounds like Major Almy would not now be allowed to rejoin the military as a result of this policy change. And, of course, what does this mean for brave men and women like Lieutenant Dan Choi, who was not outed by anyone, but who came out himself so he wouldn't have to lie anymore? How long until the whole policy isn't just softened, but ended? And do the people who have been kicked out under Don't Ask, Don't Tell in the past get to come back to their old jobs? That Gates announcement tomorrow morning is a big, important one. Watch closely. We will be. Last night I found out that Republican Senator Scott Brown of Massachusetts is using me to raise money for him. He sent out this fundraising letter, quote, "Friends, the political machine in Massachusetts is looking for someone to run against me. And you're not going to believe who they are supposedly trying to recruit. Liberal MSNBC anchor Rachel Maddow. Rachel lives in Western Massachusetts, and recently it was reported that the chairman of the state Democratic Party had apparently tried to reach out to her in an attempt to coax her into a race against me. The Democratic Party bosses in Massachusetts disagree, blah, blah, blah. They want a rubber stamp who will vote for their plans to expand government, increase debt, and raise taxes. Someone like Rachel Maddow. I'm sure she's a nice person. I just don't think America can afford her liberal politics. Rachel Maddow has a nightly platform to push her far-left agenda, blah, 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 blah." So, Senator